And salutations, Dave Duford here for another Ask Me Anything open mic Q&A call. It's a pleasure to be here. It is March 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason for this call is very simple. It is to answer any and all of your questions as it relates to selling and marketing for insurance successfully. You can ask your questions in one specific way, and that's throwing them into the chat. And then yours truly, as I work through those questions and answer them, will eventually get the ears and be happy to answer them. Specifically, questions about things like selling insurance successfully or marketing insurance successfully or carriers or sales questions, et cetera, are all welcome. This is an Ask Me Anything session after all. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, I definitely encourage you to do so. And those of you who are in the Zoom call, you're welcome to throw your question in the chat. I will absolutely check there. So before we get started, and again, now is the time to ask questions. Throw them into the chat. By the way, hit the like button if you haven't already. That helps YouTube share this video to other insurance agents like you who are in desperate need of hopefully what you would consider good information. But before we get started, I want to share with you a little story of what not to do as an insurance agent. A lot of what you'll hear in this business is the rainbows and sunshine, but very rarely do you hear the dark side of how things can go bad if you do wrong things, even inadvertently. So let me give you a little background on the story. So I have an agent who's been with me for probably a year and a half, 2 years, a good person, who purchased leads that were called pre-sold leads. Now, what this means is the way he was pitched on it as these agents or these clients have been sold on a particular policy for a particular budget, and their health has been pre-qualified. And all you have to do is when that call is available, take it and then close that person into a sale, right? Seems easy enough. But sometimes if it's too easy or too good, maybe it isn't true, right? So as I have discussed at length many a times, the worst thing you can do in this business is buy, there are a lot of bad things to do, but one of the worst things you can do is buy leads that are sourced from out of the country, because the originators of the leads are not going to be held responsible because they're outside of federal jurisdiction for any generation of leads that are fraudulent or equally bad are generated in a non-compliant TCPA type of way. This is exactly what happened to this agent. He took a phone call from this organization not 2 weeks ago, went through the presentation with him, gave all of his information to the particular attorney, and goes to find out the guy is a professional litigant. I don't know if he's an attorney, I may be wrong there. But what this guy does for a living is basically, understandably, arguably, shakes down bad organizations that relentlessly call and did not expressly give permission for that company to call, and then goes after them with lawsuits and settlements. So what invariably happened is that with one of this company that this particular agent mentioned on the phone, they went to the company and now are allegating, based off of the state's do not call minimum of $10,000 per call, and then the potential for each extra call at $1,500 a piece. The gentleman wants to settle for the low sum of $25,000 because of one call. And again, it's negotiations, right? I don't think you would settle for that much, but that's kind of where it's going to end up. And here's the catch. The agent isn't even the target of the lawsuit. It's the company, the carrier. And if the carrier settles, they pass that cost along to the agent, plus attorney fees. So moral of the story, even though this agent didn't do anything wrong, now they shouldn't have been, if they listened to what I was saying, they would have never bought from these type of people. But regardless, if the person had bought legitimate leads who expressly requested information about life insurance, then this never would have happened. He would have been able to produce evidence that the person opted in, they request the information, and then go pound sand. But now this agent is in a position where He's going to have to settle for somewhere between zero and $25,000 in order to make this problem go away. And that is the problem when you're out there on your own and you don't even know where to turn when it comes to leads. You could be the target of an enormous lawsuit. And this is not that big either. There's been other ones, six figures plus. So this is why what we do at the DIG Agency, we only work vendors that allow that require the filler form out or the person on Facebook to expressly consent to being contacted. And we have data that protects you and us in that process. Also, very important, if you're doing your own data, I would highly recommend investing into a litigator scrub list. So these can be had for a small fee where your list of leads gets scrubbed against a known list of people who sue for a living. That's huge. Also, I would recommend scrubbing against changed phone numbers because one way a lot of these litigators these days will chase you down is they will, a phone number will switch. And let's say you get a new phone number and then you get a bunch of solicitations. You didn't opt into that. Well, there's this list that you can change people's phone numbers out to prevent that unnecessary spamming. And people have been sued big time because they just continuously go after these people. So be very wary and careful of actually running a business model without taking very important concern to who you are actually prospecting and targeting. Okay. So that's my little warning for those of you getting started in this business in any capacity. The litigants are out there and they will go after you, your upline, your carriers, your mama, and everybody else. Now, let's answer some questions, shall we? Let's begin. Zoya, hey. Zova. I'm in California. Can I call leads between 4 and 7:30 PST on the free lead program based on the state's DIG operates in, or what's the latest I can realistically call? Yeah. As long as the state is open for business, then the answer is yes. So I think you can call up to 9 in most states. So you'll be able to call to some extent, maybe not at 7:30, but maybe at 6. For sure at 6, some of the central states like Texas, you'll be able to call. So you may have to stop at 7, not 7:30. So more or less, yes, you'll be fine. Joel, hey Joel, I believe I saw a video in regards to a recommended list of states you would want new incoming agents to register for non-resident license once hired. Do you have that? We go over it once you get started, but going from memory, I'll give you most of them. It's Texas, Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, I think Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, that's 9. There's 12. I think Mississippi and Missouri. But if you want to double check that, like only after you begin the onboarding process, when you're asked to submit your non-resident license, you'll see where to do it. What is the ramp up time to onboard, train, and start selling on your freely program? So from the time you're accepted into the program, I would say the fastest of agents who are aggressive and ambitious to get started within the next 15 days or less. What we normally see customarily is between 15 and 30 days. So there's a lot that depends up to you is how comfortable are you on the script? How comfortable are you using the carrier application processes? Are you juggling another job in between? Because we allow agents to sell part-time, but that means you may have to extend the time before you get started because you got to learn the stuff and do your normal job. So it just depends on the circumstances, but we're absolutely flexible. With all else equal, though, we want you to get started as quickly as possible, assuming you're comfortable as much as you can be to get started, if that makes sense. Andrew, making a transition from P&C to life insurance and health because P&C did not make me rich. Any tips on what product to start with? Yeah. So it depends. I would argue, Andrew, any product can make you rich. It's just, do you have the time and the right platform to make it work? And of course, I don't know what rich means to you. One man's rich is another man's poor, or vice versa, maybe. Anyways, but regardless, I think any product can do it. It's just considering the economics of the product, what's potential. So for example, if you want to make a $500,000 plus a year in income, in final expense, you probably have to team build. There are some agents who are writing that much business, and may be making that much money, but there are few and far between. Can you do it at a quarter million? Yeah, but it's still pretty rare. And final expense, I would say a good income that you can earn with final expense and be a good agent is 100 to 200,000. 200,000 is top end. 100,000 is doable for a very good agent. So, but to get into that upper echelon, you're going to have to sell something at scale that has high payouts like annuities, maybe IULs as well, or get into recruiting for all those products too. So yeah, or it depends. Or Medicare or ACA can be very good. But there is some point when you just have to hire service people, maybe a couple of reps to help with handling leads. So it just depends on the business model. I can go into more depth if you like. Feel free to ask. Thank you. Hey, Terrence. David, what are some of your top part-time agents earning income-wise? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know who's part-time and who isn't. I can tell you this. When we implemented the Convoso dialer, which we call the DIG dialer, digdialer.com, if you want to buy this as a non-dig agency, you get it for free if you join our agency. Our top agents went literally from full-time to part-time hours, writing the same amount of business. So for example, we had agents who would work 45 hours on the dialer to sell 10 or 15 policies that now because of how powerful this dialer connects to leads, went from 45 hours to 25 hours, which I would consider part-time. So we absolutely have people who are writing good business and arguably making good money on a somewhat part-time basis. But I don't have specific numbers off the top of my head because I don't really keep track of who's part-time, who's not. Some people come in, they'll work full-time one week, part-time the next week. Are they part-time, full-time? I don't know. Okay. Zova, does the dig dialer auto adjust for time zones? Yeah, absolutely. We built it in mind, and really Convoso is already like this. The dig dialer is based off of Convoso. We built it with the idea, sorry, I got my nose itch, to be TCPA compliant. We didn't want to call like people in Tennessee at 12 o'clock at night, or whatever. So it's already built in. So you don't have to worry about that. Can an agent be his or her own broker general agent within the DIG agency? The answer is eventually. We don't allow agents to start as brokers with us. And the reason why is because they need training. Most agents aren't nearly as good as they think they are. You need to be coached and develop some discipline, some work ethic, and definitely some knowledge to be successful. And the other side of it is that brokering is very, very risky financially. One of the biggest reasons agents get upended is because not that they're no good, but because they run out of money because they usually have to blow it all on the leads. So free leads eliminates the biggest risk, I think, to failing out prematurely. But what we do support is the ability to go to a broker or a GA arrangement where you have a high commission and can buy your own leads, but only after you have a track record of success. We don't have a time limit, like you have to be with us X amount of months. It can be very quick, it can be long-term. We'll talk with you about what's a good fit. Like, are you sure you got enough money? Are you sure you can make this work? Because we've seen failure so often from agents who jump onto that too soon and aren't financially prepared. So we want to make sure you do it right. But yeah, we're supportive of it on those terms. Let's see what else. Who handles admin tasks after a sale? If a client needs to update info, what are the number do we give? We have a support team that does that, a retention team and a support team. That's their job. There's very little of that, just to let you know, in the final expense world. It's very, very marginal. It is a heavy sales-oriented job with very little service. The other side of that is Medicare, where it's very heavily service-oriented and probably equally sales-oriented, but much more service-oriented. What company or companies do you recommend for guaranteed final expense business? I really don't recommend it, to be honest with you. It's probably fine if you're a broker, but the problem I've seen over and over again is that GI is lapse. It's a lapse-o-matic product. There's very little persistency. The placement, getting the policy to the first payment is terrible, and the comp sucks. So I'm not hot on GI. We do it at the DIG agency. I do it admittedly reluctantly because it doesn't pay well for the agents we have. And I tell them that because it doesn't pay well for us. So, I mean, we have agents who just skip it. We're cool with that. Would rather you write something that's 4 times as much commission and just skip the GI deal especially after you're up and running and being successful. So for us, I mean, I'm not very hot on GI. You could look at Sika GI as well. They're okay. They're good for telesales. I'd say they're better than AIG, but overall, I'm not very excited about GI. I just don't think it's a good product. Let's see what else here. Again, keep the questions coming. Happy to answer them. Just checking the Zoom here if the Zoom people have questions. Let's see here. There's Zoom. Let me hit some questions in the Zooms. Hey, Gisela. Hey, I have a question. I got my pre-licensing course for life and health, but now I am thinking I should just test for the life insurance exam. Any reason I should want to have life and health if I'm going to focus on final expense? Yeah. If you just want to do final expense, just get the life. If you just want to really shorten the time to get up and running. I went back and got health insurance later, and many people do that. And you can certainly do that most likely as well. But if you want to worry about less material to learn when you're only going to be doing life insurance, just do life insurance. You'll be fine. Do you assist if I won't build a team? Do you assist if I want to build a team? No, we don't do team building at the DIG agency. If you become a broker, you can. I'm open-minded to that, but as a free lead agency, we're not an MLM. We're not training agents to recruit people to recruit. I just don't like the idea, and nothing personal, of this person has no experience recruiting and therefore being responsible for another person with no experience. It's just not a good strategy. So you can refer people to us. We'll pay you an ongoing royalty based off of their actual production that we receive. But team building, I haven't made it make sense yet. There may be an opportunity if somebody is good at recruiting and to focus on that and then to let our system do it. But it's kind of an idea I've played around with. But at the current time, we only want you to join if you're going to sell this stuff successfully. The good news is if we come up with something in 6 to 12 months, you already know what you're doing successfully if you're still around, and then therefore can recruit them much easier. Well, the dialer that let you listen on calls, we have a trainer. Trainers can jump in and whisper or listen to your calls. You can certainly listen to your past calls, so we record them. Can I hire an LOA? Not in my organization. No. Let's see here. Let's keep going here. Okay. Hey, Marsha, I signed up with another company that sells Florida Blue, yet now they are not paying for new signups, really. So I'm stuck in knowing which way to go. I want the initial money. I see. I like upfront money, right? First year income. Your company sounds amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Definitely feel free to pivot. Yeah, I've heard of some of the stuff that's shaken up with ACA and Medicare. And unfortunately, those products are just political footballs. It is totally dependent on who's in charge, which administration or political party is in charge. And you just don't know what to expect. We had a really good run on Medicare and ACA, I would say, from about COVID on. And then this last year, there's been a lot of, again, along with the election cycle, uncertainty. Now you have the whole Doge thing going on, and it's totally turned me off to Medicare. We were actually even looking at doing an ACA call center, and I just canned it because I'm like, the low income subsidy is going away, and I don't even trust if this is going to be around in this current form. I think ACA will be here, but I don't know if the subsidies will, which is really the juice behind the sales opportunity. So we're sticking to final expense and that's why I like final expense, incidentally, because don't tell the politicians about it. They don't have their fingers in it. It's just a life insurance product. And it's also very immune from the ups and the downs of the economy. I was predominantly attracted to final expense because in 2011, I had a personal training gym, which was just bleeding money because I just wasn't making enough money. I lost a bunch of clients because of the Great Recession. People just stopped spending money on things they feel like they didn't necessarily need. And it taught me an important lesson that if I'm going to go into business, look for a way to sell something that won't necessarily be influenced by as much by economic upheavals or economic, huge opportunities. So the other product that's very much affected by that is mortgage protection. Mortgage protection prior to the Great Recession was great, but then when all the house prices collapsed it went into the dumps for many years until about 14, 15. Trump administration came back in and then house prices surged. So I don't like business models with this stuff going on. I'd rather have it steady Eddie. And the cool thing too with final expense is that you have a growing percentage of population aging into retirement years. You have 10, 11,000 people a year turning 65. And the mindset is more appropriate or accustomed to thinking about dying and preparing to die and financially relieving the burden from loved ones. So it all bodes well, I believe, for final expense being an excellent product to sell without a lot of the instability politically or economically you get with other products. Does LOA mean that the agent owns your book of business? No, LOA means the exact opposite. It means that the agency, the DIG agency, owns your book of business. And here's the thing: if you are ever going to be involved in a free lead organization, you're going to have your book of business owned in the vast majority of cases. And the reason why is that it's a very expensive endeavor to run a free lead organization. You have the dialer, you have lead cost, you have chargebacks, all sorts of things that you have to accommodate for in the business model. And we had tried to do it without being LOA, and it just doesn't work that way. So what's cool though is that if you get to the point where it's important for you to own your book of business, you can do that through being a broker. So you get higher commissions being a broker. You got to buy your own leads at that point and then finance your own systems. But when you're doing that, you should own your book of business, in my opinion. So there is a route to get to that point if that's something that's important. Does your paid lead option facilitate this? Yes. Yes. Hopefully that makes sense. If you want to follow up on that at all, I'm curious. Letty, hey, how do we get our leads into your dialer? So if you have a CRM, then you would put the CRM there. Then our dialer integrates with most CRMs. Most common one is Go High Level. Most of the ones that are out there are Go High Level based. And then the leads feed through the CRM to the dialer and then update them in the CRM. And it's just as simple as that. And we can go in and set it up for you. Again, if you're looking to join my free lead program, which a lot of you are, we do everything there and you don't have to pay for the dialer. This is just if you don't want to be in the free lead program, but we can definitely help. Hey, Terrence, as far as PC requirements, what computer would work? I have an older PC. I would recommend getting an up-to-date PC like in the last couple of years. The really important thing is, especially with our dialer, you need to have an Ethernet direct connection. You cannot depend on Wi-Fi. The demand on an internet basis is so strong that if you have Wi-Fi, we've noticed time and again, people using our dialer, they don't get the best connections. They don't hear the client audibly as well. And every single time that's happened, when they connect a live wire into Ethernet, which is very doable, it solves all the problems. So that's just as, if not more important than having a modern computer. Where do you see the DIG agency in the next 5 years? What is long-term vision for the agency? Yeah, I mean, for me, my long-term vision is to continue in the final expense direction as a primary mode of operation, with the free lead program being the flagship primary department. The last year has proven to me that free leads is the ultimate way to make a great business out, as well as an ultimate way to recruit agents to. We had recruit agents directly as brokers for years, and the vast majority of them fail miserably, even with good leads and support. But the free lead program imposes some level of discipline and eliminates the biggest risks associated with leads and the psychological burden that comes with it, that it just allows a lot more people to be successful. So my goal is to grow that. Where that will take me, I don't really know. I don't think we're even scratching the surface of what's possible. I don't know if we'll hire more trainers or more people along the way to help us out. Probably will. But I'm pretty content just doing this one thing at an extreme level of scale. I'm not one to diversify and do a little of this, a little of that. I find it's distracting. I'd rather be the one place to go for final expense. Okay. What type of equipment hardware is needed as a DIG agent? Yeah, you need a computer, relatively new. I would recommend 2 or 3 monitors. You need more visual real estate space to see and witness what's going on. You don't need a fax. You don't need a scanner, nor a mobile or landline. All of the dialing actually occurs over the internet. So you don't have to worry about any of that as far as an investment. Okay. Let me go back to the Zoom here and pick up some questions here. Nellie says, what is the ongoing royalty amount if someone we referred to gets hired? 5% of the actual earned commissions. So if your agent referred does $10,000 in revenue to the company, we pay you 500 or 5% of that. And it's paid quarterly. But the only thing you have to do is just refer somebody to us. You don't even have to train them or talk to them ever again. We do everything. What is the ongoing royalty amount? Oh, hit that one already. Can I work with an assistant? We really don't need to if you're in our free lead program. Larry says, David, can you discuss chargebacks and final expense versus mortgage protection or general life insurance? Aren't chargebacks quite a bit higher? Yes, I would say generally speaking, because you're dealing with a poor economic situation, that your final expense chargebacks are going to be higher. I don't think they're so high that they warrant the business being bad. A lot of your persistency, the ability to keep business on the books, is dependent on you, on how you sell, number one, and number two, what you sell. If you sell crappily and push product over getting it fixed to the client's budget, and you push a very high priced product no matter what, you're probably going to have really bad business quality. Also important, you want to make sure your carriers bill on Social Security deposit dates. Not all of them do. They'll bill on a numerical date, but sometimes like the 3rd falls on a Saturday. Mildred got paid on Friday the 2nd, but if you have Social Security deposit billing, you'd actually get the money on Friday. But if you didn't, you wouldn't get it till Monday because banks don't do electronic drafts on the weekend. So, as I used to say all the time, Mildred has the whole week to blow her money on smokes and booze, and forget about what she owes the insurance company. So a lot of lapses happen that way. So billing is important. Certainly how you sell is important. Mortgage protection, I don't have firsthand experience, just kind of like anecdotal stuff. But I think there's a difference. But I don't think the difference is so stark to eliminate this as a good business model. All right. Good questions. Thank you. Let's keep going. Good. How many people does an agent typically present to in a day, and what is the typical close ratio? Thanks, Ray. Our top agents don't wait any longer than 30 seconds between calls, which is sick. I mean, think about it. Like, there are people who are getting live transfers in this business. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will. Like, a live transfer is somebody who's calling in to talk to you, like a TV lead or some assisted arrangement where they are qualified and then transferred to you. There are agents that wait 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes between calls. Our top agents are waiting 15 to 30 seconds. I mean, it's instant almost from the time that their last call ends till they get the next one. And we arrange it that way because we want those top producers who are proven to be top producers on the phone as much as humanly possible. The mid-range agents, generally speaking, are probably, Tim and I talked about this, my operations manager. I think it varies sometimes depending on lead flow and the progression of callbacks, but 5 minutes to 10 minutes between calls is average. Again, some days are better than others, but 5 to 10 minutes is about what I would expect on the dial. So, what's your question? Yeah, so that's kind of how we're looking at that. Now, as far as close rates go, man, it's all across the board. You'll have agents who, a good agent will close 15 to 20% of their presentations that get past the first 90 seconds. I think some go in the 25% range. That's above that, and above is considered a lead. So if you get on the phone, you get through the initial objections, 1 out of 5 is considered a good close rate. Okay. And usually if you're not going to close a sale, you're ending the call in the next 15 to 20 minutes. You're not on the phone grinding it out for the next hour and a half. We have a very deliberately designed script that gets to the point so that you don't have to waste your time with people just professional tire kickers. Okay. Thank you for doing these sessions. You're welcome, Valerie. When a new agent joins DIG, what is the length of the probationary period and what is the production requirement? So we don't have a probationary period. You're a 1099. You can do whatever you want. It's not a W-2 employment position. We just give you some guidelines and some kind of like suggestions. And then when you're ready, we'll let you get on the dialer. Um, Generally speaking, what we're looking for is we want you to sell something in the first week, no more than 2 weeks. In my experience, if you've done the training correctly and you've really applied yourself, you should be making sales if you're working full time within a week, at the very latest 2 weeks. This isn't something that takes a lot of time to get used to. You either get it or you don't to some extent, but results should occur pretty quickly along those lines that I gave you. And now, if you get started in this business somewhere else and they don't train you and you don't know anything, like you don't make a sale in a week, not surprised. But if you have all the tools in your favor, you should see some success pretty quickly. If I'm currently with an IMO and contract with a handful of carriers, can I still be a candidate for freely programmed to be contracted to the other carriers? No, you Philip, you got to move them all over. So here's the thing, guys. Think about it from my perspective, or imagine being in my shoes. You created this great agency. You're spending all sorts of money, all left and right, and you're recruiting agents, and one of them has contracts elsewhere at a higher commission level and is actually stealing from you, taking those leads and writing them somewhere else. That is a very obvious risk when you have somebody who has contracts somewhere else that refuses to delete them or cancel them or not move them over. So we won't work with agents 99.9% of the time that fit that definition. So Philip, the solution is if you really want to work with us, you really feel good about us, and I would say this to anybody about any agency, go all in. Move your carrier contracts over, terminate them if you can't. Be fully committed. If we're going to be fully committed providing you lead support training, we need the same thing with the carrier contracts. And if it doesn't work, we'll release you. We do that. Why doesn't my chat appear? It's there. I see it, Paul. Hey, Terrence. How do you feel about overall production if the FCC contract law ends up passing in the future? Do you think overproduction will drop, make sales more difficult? You'll have to clarify what the FCC contact law is. If you're talking about, oh, okay, the one-to-one consent ruling, well, the courts put a stay on it for some appeal. But generally speaking, the issue was you couldn't share a lead, and then generating lead had to be topical to the company that was actually working it. So for us, I paid a bunch of money to lawyers this time last year to generate the compliance language necessary to remove this risk. So we've been acting and operating as if the one-to-one consent rules were already in place. So we have no problems for us personally. Where you're going to see the real problems, and there's big MLMs out there that sell data leads that are really like just names in the phone book, but then they market them at 10, 11, 12 bucks a lead, and they make a killing off of them, convincing agents who don't know any better that these are great leads, and they're really not. So that's a way that they make money off of you, but doing it in an underhanded way. So that will go away if this law gets passed, which is good. I mean, there's all sorts of ways people opt into things that are just dubious, but under the current system are okay. And this law is a good one. It should help legitimate people like us that generate leads out tremendously. But if you join us, you'll be fine. How to rebuttal if I have a 401k or if I access about 5k for cremation. What would we do to rebuttal that? Hey, no problem, Mrs. Prospect. A lot of people I actually help actually have a 401k. And the reason they take out a plan with us anyway is they want to have peace of mind knowing that something is there. That 401k can be used for anything. Doesn't necessarily have to be there when you die. Maybe a surprise expense comes up. With this policy, you're going to get your 100% covered. You know it's going to pay out $5,000. It's going to give you that peace of mind that you want it. So what's your social security number? Something like that would be good. They're going to either get it because they believe in it or they're not. The 401k, it may be an excuse, it may be not. We've all sold people who've been in that position, but that's kind of along the lines of what I would say. 401ks, in a sense, aren't guaranteed. It's not guaranteed money. Something could happen to them. I had a client once in Alabama who saved up a ton of money and needed life insurance. And you can tell them this story too, by the way. Mrs. Prospect, guy I follow in the business, who's an agent. He saw a client in Alabama, speaking of myself in third person here, so, and needed life insurance, could not qualify for it because he had all sorts of heart issues, but he really needed it and he was upset. And he had told him that he'd at a point didn't need it until his daughter got hooked on meth and was in and out of drug rehab facilities. And of course, he would pay the bill. But now, because of his commitment to his daughter, who's, thank God, better now, he's out of luck. He doesn't have money to pay for his own funeral. So this is why we get this plan. It's to assure against the risks that are out there. And look, it's only X amount of months. Let's go and get started. Something like that. Do I need to come in with a clean slate? Yes, I believe so. Okay, or COG, if I cross-sold Medicare, Medicaid, would that be in conflict? You cannot cross-sell our clients or leads at all. That would be an absolute conflict of interest. By the way, if you like this content, hit the like button, please. Again, that helps share what we're doing. How can someone put in 80 hours a week if the required states are only on the East Coast and Central with an hour restriction and possibly Sunday restrictions too? Thanks. Yeah, I don't, well, first of all, I'll be honest with you. 80 hours, ain't nobody calling 80 hours. I mean, we could argue if it's possible, but is it actually being done now? The agents the most busiest agents we have are putting in 50 to maybe 60 hours every once in a while. They're just not putting in many more than that. And you can absolutely get in 50 to 60 hours a week. Right now, call time is 8 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern, depending on the state you're in, of course. So there's ample time to call. We have states mostly in the central and eastern time zones. I don't know if we're doing anything in California anymore. That's just been a problematic state to get licensed in. That's why we don't do a ton of leads there anymore. Otherwise, it's a great state. We may look at it later. But then Saturdays and Sundays are really good. They're wide open as long as you have express consent to call. So there's plenty of time and opportunity to definitely dial. Maybe not 80 hours, but close to it. Okay. I'm in Massachusetts. What is the cost to get licensed self-final expense? So the cost is just a life insurance license. So whatever that is, probably $200 to $400 to get the license. And then the question is, what is the age group? 50 to 85. Really, the hot spot is 60 to 75, but you usually have to market 50 to 85 to get cost per sales numbers down adequately. What are the average commissions in selling final expense? Final expense is a whole life plan. And typically coverage amounts are 10 to 25,000, 5 to 25,000, depending on if they want a cremation or burial or have other needs for coverage. Commission is going to range if you're buying your own leads, arguably $500 to $600 after your cost of doing business, your cost for leads. And then in a free lead organization like ours, probably closer to $300 to $350 once you factor in chargebacks and people who don't pay. How long do we have to get the licenses you're requiring? How long do we have to get? How long? Could you re-ask that, lady? I'm a little confused by that question. Do you have carriers that people without? Yes, they'll cover people without. So you don't have to have Social Security. It's most of them will, or they'll be on disability. But absolutely. What do chargebacks look like? So as a current agent with us, if there's any chargebacks associated with your sales, we just count them towards yours reduction in your payout, basically. And it's prorated based off of what our percentage of the chargeback is. So if you're paid 40% as a new agent, let's say, commission goes up to 60% with us, by the way. Your chargeback is not for the whole, like my portion and yours. It's just for your portion. That's how the chargeback's accounted for. I can go into more detail if you'd like me to, just be more specific in a follow-up question. I'll be happy to describe more further. Let's see here. Lots of questions. Tons of questions. Okay. Let me check on Zoom here, see if there's anything here. Hey, Larry, stay away from guaranteed issue. As you mentioned, certainly helps. Yeah, it does. It's just a nightmare and it drives you nuts. We'll probably get away from it eventually. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's a ton of questions and I am behind. Okay. Gibby says, hi, I'm a DIG approved. Welcome aboard. New to Telesales and work from home. Who in DIG would be best suited to give me some pointers for setting up general office VoIP software? So I can do that right now. I mean, I would recommend any basic headset. I'm sure some of you in the chat, if you want to throw it out there, like what headsets work well. There's lots of good ones you get on Amazon. I prefer one that has a cord connected to the computer just to ensure that the connectivity is as strong as it can be. Anything Bluetooth or Wi-Fi is prone to messing up right when you're about to close the biggest sale of your life. Also, a live connection to Ethernet is really important, not a Wi-Fi connection. You can pay some money to get that set up, but it's absolutely worth the investment. A modern computer, I wouldn't do it on a laptop. A couple of monitors, you can find those cheap on Amazon. 2 would be good to start with. 3 would be great. Um, and yeah, that's about it. You don't need to have a printer or scanner or anything like that anymore. Everything's done electronically. It's really easy. Your phone system is tied into what we do, so you don't have to worry about using your cell phone or setting up a VoIP service or anything. It's really nominal for what you need in order to do this successfully. Let's see here. You're welcome, Marshall. Do you offer a sign-on bonus? No. So a MacBook is out. You could use a MacBook, I suppose. I'm not a Mac guy. I mean, I've only owned PCs, so I don't know for sure. Probably could do it. But I would recommend more monitors if possible. Thanks everybody for hitting the like button. Appreciate it. Zova, what are the growth opportunities with your agency? If an agent is consistently performing at a high level and wants more into leadership, is there a clear path? So the first opportunity is based off of your results. We'll pay you more. So there's an ability to move from 40 to 50% commission and then from 50 to 60% commission. So one way to move up the opportunity ladder is that way. Sell a lot, then start making more per sale. The second thing is, again, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I don't have a clear-cut route to take somebody who wants to build a team through the same processes with us. It's not like a lot of the MLMs where we have a big focus on recruiting and agency building. I'm not opposed to the idea. What we really need, one of our bottlenecks in this business is bringing on people. We want more people. We recruit a lot of people, but we can handle triple easily. So like the thing I'm most interested in is bringing in somebody who can help us find people we otherwise wouldn't find. So that kind of thing would exist where you have a stake in the commission that is made as they produce, and without you having to necessarily sell. So I could see something like that. I don't have any specific program. We need to kind of create it as the opportunity arises, if that makes sense. Alante, do you prefer final expense or annuity sales more? Well, so I only do final expense. Now, Jess Fox, if you're in our insurance sales success group, which is totally free, by the way, you can go to shameless plug, www.daviddufour.com/ISS to get access to that for free. It's a free account. Lots of deep dive trainings. Our script is there for free. And one of the other things that we have is Jess Fox comes on and trains annuities. So you can do business with us on the annuity side only through Jess. But what we predominantly do is just final expense. So I prefer it. Although annuities, nothing wrong with it. It's good business. Are the free leads old leads? Yes and no. The new agents coming in get a mixture of leads that have been called a number of times, but not like excessively, as well as live transfers. So people who are calling in to request information because they just filled out a form or saw our ad online. So new people get a collection of stuff that is somewhat new to stuff that's brand new, for sure. Been working for my captive agency. Okay. How many carriers do you guys typically contract with each agent? 5. American Amicable, American Home Life, Sika, Trinity Family Benefit, Mutual of Omaha. That's it. Are fresh and exclusive leads still the lifeblood of success in the DIG Free Lead program? It's interesting. We did a recent analysis of our leads, and we found that this it kind of pains me to admit this, to be honest with you, but I would hope that the takeaway here would be like, we actually care about our experience with the agent and giving them the best opportunity. And one of the things I'll start giving you the backstory. So we've accumulated a large pile of leads since we started. And the going mentality was dial the hell out of them, right? Which is true. Most people don't dial their leads enough. And when I hear people complain about old leads, like, you don't understand. Like, maybe stuff that's like years old that's been dialed a million times, but there are leads that aren't made yesterday that are pretty good. And but up to a certain point. But we did an analysis and we found that under our call cadence, basically stuff after 4 months that had been consistently called, 6% of our sales are generated from those leads. But this is where it gets mind blowing. Out of all the time our agents, and this is in fourth quarter last year, out of all the time our agents were spending dialing, 60% of that time, maybe it was 40%, might have been 6%. Somewhere between 40 and 60% of the dial time was to just this 6%, this old lead after 4 months. So think about it, like, why as an agent would you spend basically 5 hours in a day calling that where you might get one sale when I just made, like, a good agent would have made like 2 or 3 sales already up to that point. So we didn't recognize this because we never did the analysis, but here's what we did. We finally did it and saw it and we're like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. We got rid of all those leads. And again, I'm telling you this because nobody else is going to tell you this. There's organizations out there that absolutely call old, beat up leads that are years old and they put their people on it and they don't care. We do. We got rid of all of that crap. We'd rather you not call and not waste your time and go spend time with your family or do something else if we run out of leads, let's say, than call a bunch of crap leads that don't really result in anything other than your frustration. So I say that because that was a huge aha moment for us and a recommitment to making sure that we have the best approach available working leads. So back to your comment, I'm curious. Let me see where you went here. So yes, in a sense, fresh and not exclusive. There is no exclusive leads in a free lead program. We at a point, exclusive means like the agent gets that lead that works them, but the problem is it's not really your lead, it's our lead. And we need these leads worked. And what you'll find is that agents won't necessarily work the same hours or same days consistently. And a lead that sits there idle is a lead that's a lost opportunity. So what we do is we pool leads together, and then as they're ready to be called on, then they get disseminated to the agents, so that the minimal time is expended in calling leads that are ready to call in a TCPA compliant way. So, but other than that, what really matters is getting good leads. You really want to make sure you work with an organization or generate your own leads that are good. And what you'll find is a good lead worked by a good agent is good, fresh, or old to a certain extent at some point. If you've called 200 times, it may not be worth your time to call again. So there's some truth to what you're saying, but and a lot of this has just been an iterative process in figuring it out. But one of the things that surprised me is how well an aged leader, a lead that's not brand new, can really close if you actually work it properly. So yeah. So hopefully that was interesting to you. I found it very interesting. Hey, Josh, essentially, I finally replied to your email, by the way, today. How many leads should you have in your database to make the dig dialer worth it? Yeah, what we found is you probably need more than you think. And the reason being is because you don't get the same level of issues with other dialers, like listening to voicemails. Um, um, if the person's out of the country, the dialer just skips over it. So it tends to be that the agents are saying, wow, this works so freaking good. And I don't have to wait at all between calls or a marginal amount that I need more leads. So I don't know exactly what to tell you. We generally recommend 75 to 100 leads a week to start with, maybe more than that, maybe 100 plus. And then as you develop a pile of leads that are unreachable, your dialer will go back and reach into that and keep you more busy or longer. But remember, the important thing with the dialer is you're going to get more connections. You're going to speak to more of those leads, but because of how efficient it is, it works through them faster too as well. Can you get leads from the DIG agency even if you're working for another agency? Hey, Craig, yeah, you can. Absolutely. It's called getfeleads.com. I'm putting it in the chat. Check that out when you got a chance. The idea behind that is using our marketing team to do a done-for-you lead management program where you can self-generate your own leads. We do all the work for you. And then you get leads at cost, but they're actually of good quality, and the same minds behind my free lead program marketing are working for you. Go to that webpage, check out the demo video, the overview video, and then you'll see more information how it works. Sean, hey Sean, what is the name of the dialer? digdialer.com. It's $4.25 a month. That gives you the dialer plus 50 phone numbers at $3.50 a month. The reason you buy 50 phone numbers is the dialer needs to cycle through the numbers so as to avoid the spam likely and telemarketer likely filters that just kill your connection rates. And then just allow you to maximize the amount of your leads you get to talk to. It's a higher price dialer. I make no bones about that, but it's buying high quality. You get what you pay for in the dialer world. You do not want to cheap a dialer, because if you spend good money on leads and your dialer sucks and it doesn't do this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter. You're just not going to make as many sales that you would otherwise would. Andrew, you mentioned you are worried about the Medicare space right now. I'm wanting to create residual income, and there's another product. I'm not like, oh my gosh, Medicare is failing and it's over. I just don't like it from, it wasn't as good as it was in the early 2020s to the late 2010s. It's just a little bit tighter. It makes me a little bit worried. And I think part of it too is just wisdom of being in the insurance business and understanding that health insurance is a political commodity. And it's going to be a political tool to leverage votes. And in the business world, I'd rather not deal with it. So, but I don't think it's bad for an individual agent to necessarily pursue. I mean, there's more people turning 65 than ever before for the foreseeable future that all need somebody who knows Medicare to help. So I don't think it's necessarily bad at all. What causes most agents to fail? Hey, Kadane. Number of reasons. Number one, well, no particular order here. The agency, the business just isn't really a good fit. You come in, you realize that it's work. You're going to get screamed at, rejected, cursed out, insulted, and then you got to do it over and over again the rest of your life. A lot of people can't make it. It's a very unique skill set to survive in this business. That's the big one. The second one is an agent-agency mismatch. You join an agency that sounds great. It was presented well, but when you get there, what was promised isn't delivered. Maybe it's more about recruiting than it is actually about sales. And the support they were going to promise you really didn't manifest. So stuff like that. Those are probably the biggest ones. And because there's an MLM, by the way, MLM, multi-level marketing, heavy presence in this business you just have to be aware of. Other than that, I don't know. That's probably the biggest stuff. If you can survive this business, the likelihood of your success is much higher. That's the key, is just slow down, do your due diligence, research the agencies, the products you're interested in, do interviews with multiple companies to figure out who's the best fit. This business is absolutely worth it, but a lot of people just, and no criticism, the people who are recruiting are the best salespeople. They know what exactly to tell you to get you really excited, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. Trust, but cut the cards, and do your research. What makes DIG stand out from the other free lead platforms? Our leads are really good. Our dialer is really good. Our sales training is phenomenal. It's just a great platform. Plus, you have the ability to move away from free leads to buy your own if that's what you choose one day, to have higher commissions while using the same exact platform. Other free lead models will have you call on data. It isn't necessarily leads. They'll have you use dialers where they're single line dialers that you never get scale. And they're not necessarily oriented towards helping you become a top producer. So, and a lot of these free lead organizations eventually quit because they don't understand the economics behind the model to make it sustainable. So that's what I would sell you on, is what makes the difference. Are the leads in the paid lead program fresh, and what is considered fresh? Hopefully I've answered that. If you'd like me to, I can qualify a little more. Let me check my Zoom here. Please don't have DIG Agenecy turn MLM. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Not at all. All right. Sorry. Okay. Johnny Nitafan he runs his own agency, separate from the DIG Agency. He is a downline agency of the DIG Agency, but he does his own thing. I'm a new agent on the board. Onboarding process, great. When will I be assigned a trainer? Talk to Marty. Email Marty. Or You can try Marty. We've changed his roll up, but he'll still help you. That or Charmaine. If you still don't get any help in like the next 24 hours, email me on any of the emails you get from me and just say, hey, Dave, I was the guy talking to you in the chat. Can you help me? And I'll definitely help. Not 24 hours, by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, Eastern. Email me then. Regarding 401k question, it can take a while to get the money to the beneficiary. There we go. That's good. You mentioned you need to have certain licenses from the states you're recommending. If we join your team, what is the time frame? Yeah. So you just need to just buy them. And then it usually takes a week or two to get them all approved. But you don't have to wait to start training to have them approved. You just need to buy them. And then you can start training. And then in the next couple of weeks, you'll be approved on the state licenses by then. Let's see here. Do you guys prohibit or encourage agents to ask for referrals? Sure, you can go for it. It's up to you. Not opposed to it. Help me understand the necessity for 2 to 3 monitors. Sure, yeah. Hey, Sean. So like on one screen, you'll have an application up. On the other screen, you'll have your CRM and your dialer set up. Inside the dialer is your script, so you usually need a full screen for that. The other screen, you may need insurance toolkits to run quotes. You may need the chat room to communicate if you need help. So it's hard to fit all that on like a normal monitor. So that's part of the reason you need more. What is the, Gregor, hey, what is the statistical contact and closing rates for the free lead program? I mean, like, it just depends, man. From 0 closing rate to, on a presentation basis, 25%. A lot of people don't close anything for various reasons. And then some people do very well. You're probably going to be in the middle of that. That's what I would expect. And then what is the statistical contact rate? I don't know that. It's high enough that if you're a good producer, you're going to wait no less than 15 to 30 seconds between calls, which is unheard of in this business. Question, I'm a veteran looking to jump into your free leads program. Hey, Roman. I'm a Marine veteran. Perfect. So I'll read your question, Roman, after I get to those. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice as a brand new part-time agent, what would it be? Stick to the fundamentals, do what your agency tells you to do. Don't be too cute or creative with how to do this business. This is a really boring business. It's rinse and repeat. You just get on the phone, you work leads, and you put in the time to be on the phone as well as the time to get better. And you just repeat that cycle as long as humanly possible every day for the rest of your life. Every time I got cute and started doing things differently, I'd lose money or fail out of the business, really, at the 12-month mark. Do you have any agents who uses it as a means to support a digital nomad lifestyle? Oh, okay. I own a body shop looking to sell, and I want a career that I can foster permanent vacation in Thailand. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you have to maintain a residence in the States because of what the licensing companies or the licensing state entities are going to ask is where are you a resident of? And as long as you can prove some sort of residency, you can sell this from anywhere in the world with most of the carriers. And then you'll be fine. You may have to get a VPN to have a United States IP address. Some of these apps are iffy about that. Not all of them, though. Pretty much anywhere. There's people, I've talked to people in Ireland that sell. I think we have a guy that's in some South American country, and they sell over the phone. No big deal. So yeah, absolutely supports it. Thoughts on phone burner? I've heard of it. I don't use it because Convoso and what we sell is miles above everything else I've ever heard of or used. But no, I don't have any particular opinion of phone burner. Just don't need to. That's what I got. Do I need a landline phone number? No, you don't need to use your cell phone either. We got it in our dialer. We use a dialer's number, not yours. You can use anyone number with the dialer. Where can you get fingerprints for non-resident licenses? Look up like fingerprints. How to get fingerprints in your area. I've heard some people who live really rural have to travel to a city sometimes to get fingerprints. You need them for Florida. I think that's the main state, maybe one more. But yeah, it's kind of a pain. Again, getting to the end of this, if you've got any final questions, now is the time to ask. Where can you get fingerprints? I got that. Thank you for always being consistent. Thanks, Jason. Does your agency allow you to write with different agencies? You can for like Medicare and ACA, but not for final expense. Why would I let you have high commission carriers and access to our free leads Doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to have all your final expense business to do the free lead program. But we will release you if it's not a good fit. It's no problem. And we don't require to move the annuities, ACA, Medicare with us. That's fine. Yeah, UPS store. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. David with BC level leads. You have to tell me what that means. BC level leads. We do everything on Facebook. They're Facebook generated leads, if that makes sense. What's the likelihood of a new agent to sell 2 million plus annuities in their first year? That's not that much. The average case is 100 to 125,000, so 20 cases, 15 to 20. I think it's with a good lead system and good training. I think it's possible. How are your agents, Terrence asked, handling taxes at the end of the year? So, I'm not an accountant, so hire an accountant is typically what I say. As a 1099, you got to pay your taxes quarterly, and it's an estimate of what you think it'll be. And then after your first tax income year as an insurance agent, then the government's going to ask you to pay X amount based off of the prior year. And then an adjustment if you expect it to be better, but you may not expect it. And you just pay what you can and then pay the difference at the end of the year. So that's the way to do it. And on average, does an agent pay more taxes than they would on normal? Probably, but then you have write-off capability. Again, talk to your accountant about what you may be able to write off. You have the ability to write off cars over a certain weight if it's used for business reasons, take mileage if it's used for business reasons. You do have to pay FICA, both sides of FICA and Social Security. Your employer typically pays half of that. So there is that as well. But you want to talk to an accountant if this is your first foray into running as an independent contractor, so you can get as much of your legally potential deductions as you can. You may have covered this. What is the cost of joining DIG Agenecy to sign out a resident license? We have a $1,000 joining fee currently at the recording of this. That is only required after you've been accepted to join. And you pay that alongside of paying the licenses, which is around $1,000. What are your top 3 favorite trusty lead vendors? I don't know because we do our own leads ourselves now, Philip. So it's getfeleads.com, getfeleads.com, and getfeleads.com. Thank you, Guam Tech. Good to see you again. You're welcome, Gibby. Joel says, hey, Joel, does your marketing package for individual agents only include FE lead gen? Yeah, it's only FEs. We could probably get into other lines, but I just don't like doing things initially that I don't know anything about. We're very niche in the CRM. It's finalexpensecrm.com. We're niche with the final expense leads. It's FE Leads Direct or getfeleads.com, because we know that, like, when we want a customer to buy from us, that we want them to have confidence. We know what we're doing, right? Not be a generic marketing, company. We may pick up some other products at some time, but right now I'm pretty comfortable just saying, hey, it's just final expense. Are all your leads generated in-house? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything is. We've tried different vendors out there, ones you've heard of, total garbage. Not good leads. No, like our good agents that close like maniacs had a real hard time closing anything off of these leads. And I probably dropped 40 grand last year testing out purchase leads from well-known vendors. They all sucked. So our leads are really, really good. They're expensive. They're more expensive for us to generate them, are more expensive than what they did. But what my thinking is that the quality is so much higher. The agents love working them. It's a common compliment we get from our top producers. They're like, these leads are great. And it costs us more to generate them, but actually it costs us less per sale, which is really the only thing that matters because the quality is so good. Hey, Manuel, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Are all of your leads generated in-house? Okay, answer that. Oh, so it is self-gen. Yes, we self-gen our leads. Yes, exactly. Will this chat be available? Yeah, I think if you go back and watch this, Miguel, you can see the chat. Is a 1-day-old lead a lot better than a 3-month-old lead? Yeah, I would say so. But that doesn't mean a 3-month-old lead isn't worth calling. It depends on how many times you called it, who called it before. Like, there's a lot of variables. Again, up to a certain point. Now, maybe it's been called 500 times in 3 months. No, no, I don't think so. And they haven't ever picked up. Those are the kind of leads that we try to eliminate from the cycle so that the agents don't have to do it. As the customer's phone number, are the customer's phone numbers to the client or does it involve Zoom? Oh, everything's on the phone. We don't do Zoom. Our clients are just not there technically yet to do Zoom. I mean, like from a text perspective, not there. That might change one day. I bet you in 20 years, easy. Final expense will be sold remotely on Zoom. But for the time being, it's all phone. One more check here on the Zoom here, chat. Second. Yeah, no, we don't, Herbert. We don't do IULs. We just do final expense. Not, I don't have anything against IULs. I'm neutral on it, and I just stick with what I know, essentially. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm curious, Dave David. Hey, is it better to form LLC before joining DIG? I don't think it's important. It's your call if you want to do that. If you do the LLC route, you not only have to get personally licensed, you have to get your LLC license, which doubles the cost and probably extends the time to be sales ready by a month or two. I mean, it's seriously that long. Most people won't do it. Question Everything says, you mean people expect a phone call with your leads? Wow, I love spending 12 bucks a pop and getting screamed at. Yeah. Now, you're going to get screamed at with any leads. You're going to get called all sorts of names. They're going to be rude, heartless, terrible. But you know, the way to look at that, and you got to work on your mindset. I'm not necessarily saying you have to question everything, but it's just generally advice I'd give everybody is you have to remember that like these people are agent killers. They're out there to thin the herd of your competition. That when somebody just gravely disrespects you and says things that would make your mother blush, you need to remember, like, okay, don't take this personally. These people are crazy. I didn't do anything. I just responded to an ad that they requested the information. So they can't be personally mad at me. And you got to learn how to get over it, not let it bother you. It's going to bother you. It's normal. You're a human being with emotions. But as time progresses, have faith in the process that eventually you need to realize, like, don't let this stuff shake you. Because what you're doing as you go through and call these leads is eventually you're going to talk to that person at the perfect time who is so ready to listen to you, and they're so thankful that you called them and you took care of them. Okay. So that's what you have to orient your mindset towards. And relish in the fact that they're not all ready and willing to buy, because if it was, then everybody would be doing it and the commissions would be terrible and it would be very competitive. So thank the agent killers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Sean. How often do agents use Crankwheel? Oh, so the Crankwheel is a cool little app for everybody else that you can have your clients see you on the phone, but the clients don't need to share their camera, they just share yours. That is used occasionally, and agents really swear by that. It's a great little app to use. New to typing on the YouTube, so it's sent every time I'm in space. That's okay, no worries. Monthly costs, there are monthly costs. You can buy insurance toolkits at 35 bucks a month if you want. You don't necessarily need that. And then errors and omissions, 40 bucks a month. That's it for monthly costs. What percentage of DIG leads are laydowns? I don't know. One man's laydown is another's frustrating lead. So I'm sure there are people who are ready to buy, but don't assume that. Assume that you got to come in and fight them in the beginning of the call, and especially fight them at the end of the call, figuratively speaking, you know, encouraging them, have that mindset to have that. It doesn't necessarily pan out that way all the time. Some people are easier to sell than others, but if you come in it with the idea that you got to work to sell everybody, that's the best mindset to have. Don't come in thinking it's going to be easy. How should I go about reading about opportunities with your agency? Sure, Kathleen, really easy. You can go to my website, davidduford.com. It's for everybody else too. I would recommend starting with the overview video. That's right at the top. It's about 30 minutes long. It goes into great detail about exactly how it works, what to expect, who we're a good fit for and who we're not a good fit for. And at the end there, you'll have a good sense if you like what we are presenting to you. And then if you do, you can apply or you can come to a live Q&A call. And Marty hosts those and can answer your questions. He's worked with me for 4 years now. And then he can do one-on-one calls with you too if there's more personal questions you want to answer. Zygmunt, I'm a new agent on Dig Free Leads and just made my first sale. Oh, all right, cool. Congratulations. I love the agency, the sales trainers, the incredible supportive community we've built. Thank you so much, David. I promise that was not a paid endorsement. That was a random one from an agent. Zygmunt, thank you. Appreciate that. Perfect time. Checks in the mail. Thanks for turning me on to this. You're welcome, Roman. First time I heard final expense was from you. Cool. Now working on my license. I'm looking forward to selling my body shop. Thanks again. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's cool. I'm surprised. I wish there was a way that we could do more content in the digital nomad space because it is really neat that you really can do this thing internationally. I had an agent that reminded me. Evan was selling in Switzerland. Why he would sell in Switzerland and not enjoy Switzerland is beyond me, but he was doing it and it can be done. But I think it's a kind of a cool story to tell. So much of us, have this idea or dream of traveling, and it can be done, definitely, and work. Advice taken to heart. Thanks, David. Oh yeah, no worries, absolutely. I already answered that, Grigor. I don't know the statistical contact rate. It's higher than it was with the prior dialer reuse. I can tell you that much. I mean, our agents are taking 25 to 35 hours to close what they need to, which normally took 45 hours. So that means contact rates are better. Closing rates for presentations that get past 90 seconds, a good agent will close 15 to 20% of those. Really good agents, 25%. Okay agents, 15% or less. How much should I set aside to be a part of the DIG Agenecy? Currently, it's a $1,000 joining fee one time, and then a $1,000 approximately in additional non-resident licenses that you have to join or you have to pay for. You can buy that in lieu of getting started. So you pay the joining fee, you pay the licensing, and then you can start studying. In a week or two, you'll be sales ready because the licenses have come in and you can get on the dial and start selling. We do take part-timers as well. Do you take part-time agents? Yes, we do on the free leads program, 100%. And we don't tell you when to work, Julie. You can work whenever you want to. Sometimes the best time, I'll tell you, the best times to work are evenings, especially to the end of the week and especially on the weekends. We get leads all the time, and our best producers usually hang up because they make their money during the week and then they enjoy themselves on the weekend. They've earned it. So a lot of those really good producers don't come in on the weekends, which means we still have leads coming in and less people to work them. So it's a great opportunity to come in on weekends, Sunday included, if you want to. You don't have to. Saturday's great. And like Friday nights, Thursday nights are really good opportunities to work when others aren't there. So we're very flexible. You come in and work with them when you want to. If an agent is on the free lead program, brings their own lead or sells a family member, do you get higher commission? No, we don't have a way to make that work. So when we wouldn't want you to bring your leads, it just doesn't make sense. It negates the purpose of the free lead program. But for referrals or family members, we just don't have a system on the payment side to accommodate that. Manuel, what states are best for non-resident license for selling over the phone, of course? For us, it's Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. Other states that are good are California, but it takes like 2 months to get your license there. Arizona is a great state. Illinois, I think, is good. Wisconsin, Iowa. Generally, all the states are good until you get to New York. New York and north of there, especially New York. New York's just a bad state for final expense. Not a lot of options there. But we've generally stayed out of the Northeast. What states are best for non-resident license? Okay, answer that. David, one thing I didn't understand was how residuals work. Obviously, it's a book of business. Yeah. You get paid the full commission on the first year of whatever your commission rate is, as long as you're active with us. Okay. The back-end commission and renewal rates is the carriers. But as long as you're an active agent with us in the free lead program selling, you're going to get paid the full commission for that particular product. Would you continue to get paid as long as they keep on the books, as long as you're active? Yeah. What are the comp level tiers? What type of production is needed? Okay, so this may change, Ray, so don't hold me to this. Your primary product pays 40%. Once you write 100,000 in non-guaranteed issue business, that goes to 50%. And then once you write $250,000 in total business, that's non-guaranteed issue, that goes to 60%. That's for American Amicable, for the Platinum Series products. And that percentage pays for level, graded, and then modified, which or a return of premium, which is really good. There are haircuts on commissions for Mutual of Omaha, Seek a Level, and then Trinity Family Benefit. They typically pay about 25 to 30% at the first tier, and then 30 to 35% second tier, and then last tier like 35 to 40%. And the reason is we don't want our agents writing those carriers. They've got problems in some way with the application process. They're not our ideal first choice. And so we disincentivize you writing them by making it less commission. Guaranteed issue pays the least. That we pay 10% on that. And this is why I said earlier on, we encourage agents to like skip out on it. It's just not worth it. It isn't really worth it for us, but we keep it in there because it's a way to make something, or to pivot if you had somebody on the phone and just to have some sort of consolation sale. But I've gone back and forth about eliminating it entirely because there's just the problems keeping it on the books. It's very lapsomatic type of business. And I'd rather you be writing level business or full commission business with other products. John, hey, John, I was accepted to work with your agents about 6 months ago, but never got started. Would I have to pay the $1,000 fee to join? Probably yes, because we were at a point where we initiated the joining fee in January, and we gave everybody in the process a month to join, and they didn't have to pay it then. So unfortunately, we've had another agent who started like July, and they're like, I'm sales ready. And it's like, well, not really. You know, you're supposed to start at that point. And I understand life happens, but unfortunately, that's the way it is now. Since your leads are generated from Facebook, is there enough for everyone to buy? Well, you're not buying any leads, Patricia. With us, it's free, right? But yeah, for sure. I mean, there's probably hundreds of agencies doing final expense lead gen, probably generating tens of thousands of leads a day. So I'm not worried about it. We've never had a problem generating leads. Is there a discounted rate on paid leads in your students? Yeah, there's a program where you get a slight discount if you get the CRM dialer and the marketing system as packaged together, if you're an agent with us. Otherwise, there's not a discount. Okay. One more time on Zoom, and then we'll call it a day. All right. So again, if you guys are interested in learning more about joining the DIG Agency, go to daviddufour.com. You can check the chat, watch the overview video, then apply or come to the Q&A if you have questions. I do these AMAs weekly now, mostly every week. Probably have some weeks where I'm gone and I won't do them. But if you have questions, come to these that are a standing Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern thing. And I'll go until you guys quit with the questions. So happy to answer them and be back. So in the meantime, one last question from El Vigilante. What's the starting comp? 40% for the major carriers. The minor carriers, 25 to 30%, and guaranteed issues, 10%. You can elevate that commission over time with production up to 50 and even 60% commissions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for allowing me to do my thing. And oh, there's plenty of leads for everybody to call. Yeah, absolutely. How many leads get generated? Enough to keep you as busy as humanly possible. I'll give you that much for sure. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your time. And if you have any other questions, you can come to daviddufour.com, send a message on contact, message me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm active on both of those. I'll personally respond to all your messages. Or if you get any of my spam emails, just reply back. I personally answer those too. All right. Thanks again.